Alrighty then. Da-da-da-da. All right. I'm gonna wait for the stream to pop up on my phone here, and then once I see it live here, then I'll go ahead and start reviewing these results and looking at my forecast for this. So we're gonna go ahead and just wait here 1 second. All right, so let's see. Alrighty then, so it is live. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with On Point Politics. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Today I am reviewing the results for the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, and this is kind of a big deal because this race can really determine how the state of Wisconsin will break in 2026, in 2028, depending on the election laws that are put in place or how the court balance is. And so this is very, very important, not only for those reasons, but also for the fact that this is the first time I will be able to test my accuracy on election predictions for the first time since the 2024 election. And we can see here that I have an official forecasted model for this race where Crawford is up by about 5 points, give or take. I believe the final totals, when we actually look at the Google Docs for this, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you guys. It was a lot of work. It took me about 3 days to build this model for the state of Wisconsin. But when everything's finally put together, you actually end up getting all the votes casted. You have all of these subgroups voting. So you can see I split up the subgroups of all of these voters, and I can also play around with, how much of certain groups turn out in certain elections. So like 2020 turnout, 2024 turnout, I can kind of see, what's going on here. And so when everything is said and done, we can go to this side and see that the margin ends up being about a 5 point victory for the Democrat candidate Crawford. There's about 1.8 million votes due to some of, speculation on X. I believe I might be lowballing the number of how high the turnout actually is. So it just really depends on, the election day votes. But I put a lot of effort into this. There are exact vote totals for a lot of these. So you'll also see that as well. Like there are a lot, there's like every single county has vote totals. So this modeling is a lot more detailed than my 2024 election modeling, and I'm going to be doing a lot of the elections like this going forward. I will be doing these as well for the New Jersey and the Virginia governorships in November of this year, because those will also require a lot of modeling work as well. But guys, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Make sure to hit the like button, guys. It would be very, very appreciative if you guys would be able to do that. If we look over here, we can see that, he actually holds up not too bad in the blue city areas. I mean, he loses Dane by 49, and he loses Milwaukee by 39, and he loses this county here by 60 points, which is fairly similar, give or take, to, previous performances by Donald Trump in the city areas. But where he struggles the most is in different parts of, certain areas. There's just areas where it is like historically, underperforming, even compared to Donald Trump, where like in Vernon he's only up by 2 points, Crawford he's only up 4, Grant only a 7 point win. He's losing Sauk County in my projection, he's losing Greene County, he's losing Portage by 6 points as of right now, and he's even losing Winnebago by about a point here. So that's roughly, give or take, where I have the race at. I have the Democrat winning by 5 points. A lot of these rural counties are also big underperformances for the Republican as well, with counties even like, Dunn being only an 8 point win. Yeah, Polly Market has Crawford's chances of winning very high. I mean, SoCal, our pollster, actually pulled this race, and it was an 8 point lead for Crawford because of the momentum and the certain modeling that I did for the race, seeing, estimating how the groups would turn out at certain different rates. I am getting roughly, give or take, a D plus 5, D plus 5.1 margin of victory, and it is already 902, and polls have just closed, so we should be getting results, out of the states very, very soon. And we'll be able to test how accurate I ended up being, overall. So this will definitely be very, very interesting to see, how accurate I end up being, for this special election. And so, how's everybody doing? I know this is the first time that we've done actually like a pretty decent stream, regarding election results. I know it's been a very long time since that's been the case, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. There's actually quite a few of you guys tuning into this. So I really, really appreciate that. I am going to be pulling up um the the betting odds for this, so we can track them in real time, and we clearly see, I mean, Crawford is just, completely annihilating Schimmel right now. It's not a great look at all, and we see, yeah, April 1st down 91% chance of victory as of right now. And we see here, I'm not saying he doesn't have a chance, but it's definitely not the best set of circumstances for him according to my election modeling. It is not the best set of circumstances whatsoever in the election modeling at all. So I definitely think this is going to, not exactly work out for the Republicans. We have the 2023 results to compare to as well. So we'll be able to not only compare to, the previous results that occurred, but we're also going to be able to compare to, the results that I have here, where we can, track, the turnout in some of these areas, and the turnout margins, the turnout, with my modeling somewhat matches, some of these models, they're not completely exactly on the money, but they're fairly close in terms of the turnout from the last one in 2023. The Republican does perform a little bit better. Schimmel does do slightly better than Dan Kelly. He ends up getting about 890K thousand votes, and Crawford is at about 985,000 votes in my forecast here. So we'll see how accurate I end up being. I see about 215 of you guys are tuned into the stream. So please go ahead and hit the like button. Whoever is in here watching the stream, it would be greatly appreciated if you could hit the like button for the show. I will probably try to go live a lot more in the next, couple weeks. I'll definitely try to live stream more, and I will be posting more content. As you guys have seen, I've been putting out a lot more content recently on the channel here. And so we are really just waiting for results to come in and to see how accurate I end up being in this election. Just kind of a summary of this. We can see Wisconsin voters will choose a new state Supreme Court justice in an election that will determine whether liberals retain a 4-3 majority or whether conservatives take the control of the state's judiciary. While the race is technically nonpartisan, the state Democratic and Republican parties have each endorsed a candidate. The contest between Judge Susan Crawford, a liberal who has raised more money than any other American judicial candidate, and Judge Brad Schimmel, a conservative backed by President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, has again drawn its national attention to Wisconsin in a closely divided political battleground. The winner could be the court's decisive vote in cases regarding abortion, labor unions, and congressional redistricting. Jason Ashford 2 says, does Schimmel have a chance? I actually don't think. Um, I'm very pessimistic about his odds. I have him losing by 5, so I'm very, very pessimistic about his odds to win the race. I mean, if he pulls it off, that would be amazing, but I seriously doubt he's going to end up pulling it off. I mean, all the polling shows him losing, literally 91% odds, betting odds to lose the election, and my modeling has him, down 5 points. And I was pretty bullish on Donald Trump in 2024 in the state of Wisconsin. I think I had Trump winning the state by like 5 or 6 points, when he only ended up winning it by a quarter. So if I have the Republican down by 5 points, I mean, at this point, I think it's a done deal. Schimmel, I'm not saying he's bad or anything. I think he tried his best, and I would prefer for him to win, but I just really don't think that he's going to I really don't think that it's going to end up working out for him whatsoever. So that's kind of what I'm really at right now. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this, to be completely honest with you. And we see on point politics, how fast will Wisconsin count? It does take quite some time, for the votes to count in Wisconsin. They always take, quite a while to be able to do so. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. We need 3 a.m. ballot dumps. You only had Harris up by 2 in Arizona, I believe, one time, so there is a chance. I mean, that was a poll that we did with SoCal, but I had Trump winning Arizona by like 7.5 points, which wasn't even that far off from the final result, by the way. So that's pretty interesting. I only overestimated Trump in Nevada and Arizona by like 2 points, actually. I actually didn't even end up overestimating him there by a lot. It was only by like 2 points, give or take. Um, and my final forecast, and I can actually even pull up, my grading, for that. I can actually even pull up my scorecard here, give or take. And actually, no, this is not it. I have an actual scorecard for, elections. I don't know where I have it. I don't know why it's not here, but I actually do have like an official scorecard that I posted for the election. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go here to my post and scroll down and find it, because I should have it. Um, I don't know why I wouldn't have that up here. So we will see what exactly is going on. We'll look at my scorecard for the last election as we wait for the results for this race. So we're gonna go ahead and see what ends up happening here. A huge announcement coming from On Point Politics. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, and then yeah, you see, watching my final map video. Um, let's
Hello, everyone.
so this
Welcome back
was
to another
so so
video
this
with.
was so this was the final video I had put out before the election. I believe this is the final one, and I don't know if I used my scorecard on this one. I'm not sure if I do. Yes, I do have my scorecard on here. So this is where my official scorecard is right here. Missouri 23 points on the forecast here. We can clearly see an 18-point win. So I was off by about 5. There are a lot of states here where I was kind of off by like a pretty big amount in some of the red states, like Tennessee 31 points. I mean, that wasn't terrible, but still somewhat of a bad miss. Alabama only off by 3. Idaho off by, but basically dead on in Idaho. North Dakota only off by like 3 points. In the state. Oklahoma, I was off by 6 points there. Wyoming, a 49-point win. 45. West Virginia 47. It was a 41-point win. So definitely off in some places, but actually, yeah, and off there in that area. Minnesota, I ended up having a Minnesota. Oh, okay. So we have vote totals in Wisconsin. Okay. So again, 1% of the vote is in, and it's a very low amount of votes. In Waukesha, I actually believe is this county, 913 votes for the Republican, and Susan Crawford's at 515. I do have him winning this by a pretty decent amount, by 13 points. And if that is 1% of the vote, then you're going to definitely have a lot of votes coming out of this county. I have him getting about, 82,000 votes in this county, and she's getting about 63,000 votes in the county. So we'll be seeing how that overperforms, over time. But look at Florida, right? Like my margin in Florida in 2024 was a 13.95. So 14 points. He ended up winning it by 13. Texas 14. It was a 13.7 percentage point win. And you see Nevada was only off by basically 2 points. Arizona only off by 2 points. Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania were some of my more bad misses, per se. I think that those were definitely not great, and New Hampshire wasn't terrible considering it was only a Harris plus 2.5 margin, so it was within margin of error. Ohio and Iowa definitely overestimated there. Maine second district was not good. Kansas, very iffy margin there. South Carolina was decent. So overall, I ended up doing okay in 2024. Definitely could have definitely could have done better in the swing states, but overall I ended up doing somewhat well, in the election, especially for the first time. So that is it looking at that. On Poly Market, we can see here still 91% odds to win. And the vote totals were also updated again. And now it is 4% of the vote, and he's at about 6,000, give or take. So definitely based on that, and that's only 4% of the vote. Okay, lacrosse. So 7% of the vote is in lacrosse. She's up by 14 there. I currently have a 14-point margin in the state or in the county of La Crosse. So it'll be interesting to see how these end up lining up. And again, this is the early vote, I would assume. I don't know how exactly what order they're reporting these in, but the margins are somewhat lining up. I think that Waukesha, I mean, that's a 20-point lead for him in Waukesha. I mean, that would be incredible if he's actually up by 20 points, because that means he'd be outperforming my expectations for the race. So that would actually be a really big news if that ended up being the case, if he actually ends up outperforming these margins here. So as time goes on, we'll see, how much he's actually outperforming in some of these areas as of right now. But again, it's very early still. A lot of the vote needs to come in. But this is a pretty good performance in Waukesha for the early vote to come in. I mean, Donald Trump won Waukesha by like 20 points rounded. I don't think that he's going to match Trump's performance there. But these are good signs for him. But again, it's still very early. It's too early to tell, what exactly is going to happen. Okay, more votes came in, 7% more votes came in, and he's basically up by over 20 points in Waukesha. So that is really interesting. And he's currently pulling a 20-point lead with 1% of the votes in, and she is, at about 7% of the vote is in in lacrosse, and she's doing okay, but definitely the turnout's going to be up. I expect her to get about 22,000 votes. He's going to get about 17,000. We'll see, how that holds up. And again, we clearly see, 13-point margin for Brad Schimmel in, Waukesha, and about 7% of the vote is in Waukesha, and you're seeing this margin. So that percentage is lining up with the turnout estimate that I do have in the county. So that is, definitely matching up with what I have. Guys, if you want analysis like this, like no one else, you're not going to find anybody else on YouTube that does county modeling like this for elections, that really goes deep into the crosstabs and polling, who does their own polling. Nobody does this stuff. If you guys would like to subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, looking at, liking the video would also be very, very appreciated. If you guys could also do that as well, it would mean the absolute world to me. Sending in a shout out would be great. And we have 409 people watching the stream. That is absolutely amazing. I really, really appreciate that. And guys, look, comment down below. Give me your thoughts. I can read the comments as well as we go through the results. TM says, "Op, who's the favorite?" I think it's Crawford. And again, now 15% of the vote is in Waukesha, and he's up by like 21 points in Waukesha County. So he may actually end up doing significantly better than my turnout is projecting here. It's definitely possible that there is higher turnout. And now Kenosha has also come in, and Susan Crawford is up by 4 points in definitely we could see here a 4-point lead in Kenosha for Susan Crawford, and I actually have her winning this county by 2 points. I don't know if that's going to hold. I don't know, but we'll see. Same margin, same results in lacrosse so far. It's only Waukesha that is pretty much has votes in right now. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Again, I have heard about 63K in Waukesha, and he gets about 82, 83-ish. So that's currently what I have. I have like a 20,000 vote lead for him in Waukesha County. So we'll see as the votes, pour in. We'll be able to get a better look at how the race is going to end up, going here. But he's performing well in Waukesha so far. Definitely matching, 2024 margins for Trump. So that's actually pretty good news for him. As of right now, I think, okay, so a Fond Ladoke County, I believe, with 10% of the votes in, it's a 30-point lead for Brad Schimmel in this margin here. And we actually see I have about an 18-point win there, and he's got about 19,000 votes in the county here, with Susan Crawford getting about 13 and a half, and 10% of the votes are in here. So that actually is roughly matching my expectations in turnout. It might actually be a little bit lower than I'm actually expecting. It may be a little bit lower in this county, which would not be great for Brad whatsoever. But again, it's too early to tell if my forecast is going to come true. Again, still really early right now, really early. We see about what it's 6% of the vote here, and there's about 4,000 votes, and so I have about 50,000 votes in Kenosha. Okay, so another one, Winnebago. Okay, so we see in Winnebago County and Matt and Dane County are coming in, so 74% to 26. That's a 50-point lead in Dane County with 3% of the vote in, and I have a pretty sizable chunk of votes in Dane. I have him getting about 48K, and then she gets about 141,000 votes in Dane County. And we also see in Winnebago, she's up by a pretty considerable amount with 9% in, and I have her barely losing this county on my forecast. So far, this is matching up what I've been saying for quite some time. Vernon is also about 5% in, and he's up by about 16 points, and 5% of the vote is 600 votes. And I have about, 4,000 ish on each side, so it's a swing county. So again, that's also matching up. This county right here, 1% of the vote, roughly a 19, 18-point lead. This is about, almost 400 votes ish. And when we look at my vote totals here, we can see I have the turnout a lot higher in this county. So it probably might end up getting this wrong. It's possible. We'll see if that matches up at the end. But clearly, he holds a 10-point lead very early on. So we'll see why the Trump slash Vance picture, your page on of the site you were reading from, is way too small. What's the site? We'll just pull it up on my computer. It is the New York Times is what I'm looking at the results on. Tell me you're not from Wisconsin without telling me from Wisconsin. Yeah, some of the county names are pretty difficult to pronounce, so I apologize in advance. If I can't pronounce some of these correctly, I definitely should learn for future reference. But so far, these county projections are somewhat matching up what I have. I mean, he's doing very well in Fond du Lac. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but so he's doing, fairly well in this county, and he's winning this one by quite a bit. And I only have him winning it by 18. So we'll see what ends up happening. Okay, so Pierce County's coming in with 12% of the vote in, and he's down by about 4 points with 14,000 votes in. I have about, I have him winning it with 7,000 votes to like 6,000 votes, and it's like a 9-point margin for him. So we'll see as that pulls through. Again, only 4% of the vote is in. She's winning Dane by about 48 points. I actually have Dane at a 49-point margin, so she might end up doing better in Dane. So we'll see what ends up happening, and more votes have just come in. So Dunn County, 1% of the vote really early, still in. Door County, 30%, 34% of the vote is in. And oh wow, and she just took the lead. Okay, so she just took the lead in the state of Wisconsin. And we can see in Door County, there's about, almost 5,000 votes, in this county, and she's up by 10 points. I end up having about 5,000. They're both at like 6,000-ish, and she ends up winning Door County by 6 points. So again, that also might match up in my forecast as well. Jason Bionat says, on point, what's your prediction? I have her winning by 5 points, and so far this is looking pretty good. 6% of the vote is in, and there's 134,000 votes, and I have about 2 million forecasted turnout. So this is somewhat matching up. I might have even overshot the turnout in some places. So this actually, in terms of accuracy for me, might end up being pretty good because I might be spot on in some of these places. Kenosha, Brad just took the lead with 25% of the vote in, so I think I'm probably going to end up getting that county wrong unless the county kind of swings back and forth. And we can actually look at the vote totals that I have. I have them both at like about 25K. So we'll see how that holds up as the night goes on. And again, Door County, I have it at a 10-point win here for her, and I have her winning it by 6 in the final vote totals. Waukesha, again, he's holding a strong lead with 22% of the vote in. So that's also something to keep in mind. Brad Schimmel's doing very well in this county. And she's up. Okay, so 20% of the vote is in here, and she's up by about 12 points. And I have her barely winning this county with both of them at like 26K each. Okay, so Dunn County reported more with 6% of the vote in, and he's up by a pretty solid amount. But again, it's only a couple hundred votes. I only have this as an 8-point win for him. He doesn't do great in the final vote totals, but we'll see how this ends up holding up, as the night goes on. Ozaki, she's up by quite a lot in Ozaki County, and 9% of the vote is in Dane. She's up by 50 points in Dane right now, and currently 23,000 votes there, 7,000 votes for him. I have him finishing off at 48,000 in that county, and her at 141K. So that is, very interesting to see that there. Ozaki, she's up by 8 with 14% of the vote, and 14% of the vote is about 7,000, give or take. And I both have them at about, 15 to 17K each. So my turnout projections so far, again, it's still early, still 7% of the vote is in, but my turnout projections are looking fairly solid for the race. And you can see Kenosha just narrowed up again with 41% of the vote, and it's basically like a dead tie. I mean, he's barely ahead, but it did narrow up again after he took the lead. And I have them both at about 25K, and 41% of the vote is in here. So my turnout projections so far are looking fairly solid for the race. Eau Claire County, 6% of the vote is in, a little bit over 20-point lead. And you see here right now, Eau Claire, this is a blue county, so I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's early, but I have her getting about 19,000. He gets like 14.5 thousand votes, and she ends up winning by 14, and he just ended up taking the lead again. That was interesting. Sauk County is 23% in, and he's up by about 2 points in the county, and I have her winning this by 3. And there's about 19 or almost 20,000 votes in the final margin there, and 23% of the vote is in, and there's about 5,000. So that's also matching up with my turnout projections as well. So, and look, she 53% of the votes in, she just took the lead in Kenosha again. So, and I have her winning Kenosha County in my modeling forecast county by county here. So, and now look, she just took a massive lead, more votes in Dane. He's at about 14,000 with 14% of the vote in. Again, I have him finishing off at 48K, and she's at about 141,000, and she's at 46 with 19% in. And so that is not a great sign at all for her whatsoever. This is not a great sign, and the lead in Waukesha is narrowing quite extensively, so not great. Vernon is a 10-point lead with 8% of the vote in right now, so also not a great sign, for the Republican as well on the map here. So we're going to be going through this election right now, but 12% of the votes in, and she's up by a little bit over 5 points, and there's about, give or take, we could actually add up how many votes have been casted. So if we end up doing, right, let's do the math here really quick. So if there's been 141,000 votes, 506 plus, this amount, and 368, and this is about, give or take, 14, 12% of the vote, right? And we end up putting an X here, and we do about 1, it's about 2.2 million, give or take. And I have the race at about 1.8. So it seems like my turnout estimate might be off by about 400,000, which is not bad, that's not terrible, considering everything. Considering everything here. Barron, again, 7% of the vote, about, 12,000 votes are in here, probably. And I have him winning it by 18, and he gets like 8.5. K, she gets like 6,000. So we'll see how that stands. Waukesha, 34% of the vote is in, and he's up by 20 there. Again, more vote in Kenosha, and she's still up in Kenosha, and they're both at 16K. I both have them finishing at 25K, so that's also matching up as well. And Jason just said, on point, I hope you're wrong, but you're so dang accurate. I mean, again, it's not final, still a lot of votes to come in, but it looks like my forecasting may actually be matching up with the real election results tonight. Yeah, more votes coming in Kenosha. She's up now, and I actually, a lot of people said she wasn't going to win Kenosha, and I have her winning it. So, just FYI, we see Winnebago, she's only up 6 with 35% of the vote in, and at 35% of the vote, that's about 20, thousand votes. I have both of them finishing off at 26,000. So maybe I end up getting this county a little bit iffy, but it is really close of a county. It's very, very close. Forest County, it's only like a 19-point win for Schimmel. I mean, I don't really have them doing that great here, and only 1% of the vote is in, so we'll see how this goes. But I don't have them doing exactly great. Sauk County, 23% of the vote is in, 5,000. I both have them basically, it finishes off at about 20K. So my turnout margins, my turnout projections are pretty good. They're pretty solid. Like, it's so far, this is matching up pretty well with what I have in my forecast. This county, 1% in, too little the vote. This one, it's like 50. I have this as like a 23-point win. I mean, he's not even doing great there. So this will take quite some time to count. But we'll just keep waiting for more results. 55. Okay, so lacrosse, she's winning lacrosse by like 18 points, and I have it as like a 14-point win right now. So this is, yeah, I can see the chat. Clearly, I'm not pronouncing a lot of these things correctly. So, but it's glad to see, everybody back. Guys, make sure to hit the like button on the stream. It would be greatly appreciated. Share this with your friends. Um, Share this live stream with your friends, subscribe, hit the like button. This is election analysis that you won't see anywhere else, where I've modeled exact vote totals for each candidate in the race. So definitely pay attention. Yep, okay, there you go. Yep, 3 points were just added to her totals. More votes in Dane County, and again, 32% in. She's at 78. He's at about 22, and I have him finishing at about 48,000, and she finishes like at 141. Winnebago. Okay, cool. So we'll see. Stefan, this guy was probably predicting Kamala win Pennsylvania till she didn't. I actually had Trump winning Pennsylvania by quite a lot. I had him winning it by 6, and he won it by 2. I actually overestimated him, so not really. Actually, again, Ozaki, it's a little bit closer now with 24% of the vote in. I only have this as like a 5-point win for Schimmel. So that's when okay, Greene County's in with 28% of the vote, and it's a landslide. It's a landslide county right now. I mean, it's just a massive win there. That is huge. More votes in Kenosha again. Dodge, he's at about 13 with 66% in. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna undershoot his turnout totals here, including Susan Crawford, actually, to an extent. I definitely have undershot him in the in the rules, more than likely, but I actually do I have her winning right now, like by 5 points. Currently, I have her winning the race by like about 5. Grant County, 11% of the vote in. We could see 8,000 to 7,000, give or take. So that is also not really great. Lacrosse, you saw more votes came. Okay, so this is the final margin in lacrosse. She ended up winning lacrosse by like almost 30 points. And I had her winning it by 14. And she ends up getting about 23K. So that's close to what I had her getting. And he's at about 13. So I overshot him by like 3,000 votes in lacrosse. So this ended up being a lot bluer than expected. So that is not great at all. That is not good news. It's definitely going to be interesting to see, how all these end up voting because some of these are matching my forecast, some are not. It just really depends. We are going to have to wait here, but definitely not great. Can you zoom in on the numbers? Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit on here so you guys can actually like see this because I know it's a little bit hard to see. Um So yeah, definitely not a great sign. Onidia, I mean, that's not in. Okay, so more red counties are coming in, but she gained votes. Yeah, this is not good for the Republican whatsoever. Not great. Barron, yeah, I have him winning it by 18. He's only up by 20 with 10% of the vote in. We see Dunn County 6%, 20-ish point win, but here it's only 8. So again, we'll see how this, kind of goes through. He just gained a point. I wonder where some of these vote totals. Okay, so he gained some in that county. He's doing very well in Font. He's doing very well, and I didn't actually have him doing particularly well here. So I definitely undershot him in this county. I believe so. I'm going to probably end up underestimating him here. Dodge, she's up by quite a bit. I only had him winning it by about 21, and he's going to be up by like 30 something. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, what ends up happening, as more vote totals come in. Dane, hasn't been updated. Green still hasn't been updated. Kenosha again has not been updated. Ozaki has not been updated either. Door County hasn't been updated as well. And Brown, no votes in. None. We're Adams County. So 79% of the vote is in Adams. Wow. Okay. Well, I definitely underestimated their vote totals here. So there are going to be areas where I underestimate their vote totals to an extent. By 18, and I had him getting 4,000. He already beat that in Adams. He beat that like barely. He's gonna beat it barely by like a couple thousand. But she's also getting more votes than I anticipated there as well. And then now she just ended up. Okay, so what just came in? So Milwaukee came in. Okay, so Milwaukee came in. He's getting about 84,000 votes there. With 61% of the votes, and I have him getting about 81,000. She's getting about 193K there in my final estimate. So that's also matching up with what I have as well. That's also what I'm having matching up as well, and this is like really bad for Republicans right now. Definitely not the results they wanted in some of these counties here. Again, Font is now 84% in, and that's like a 17, 18 point win, and that's actually exactly what I have. That's exactly what I have, and the votes are almost in. 19,000 for, Brad. He's currently sitting at about 16, and I have, 13 for her. So actually, that county may end up matching my forecast now that more votes have actually poured in. Adams, he's only up by the same margin in Adams. And Adams, again, 17, 18 points. So I'm doing fairly well in this forecast, guys. It looks like a lot of my forecast may actually end up being somewhat accurate. So if you guys want your friends to see accurate election modeling and forecasting, make sure to go tell your friends to watch the stream and hit the like button. I see we're about 800 people. It is crazy that we're even hitting this number of people, considering this is like an off-year election at like 9 p.m. Uh, 60% of the votes are in Eau Claire, and I have a 14-point win there, about 18K for her, and she may possibly hit that. Lacrosse, 80% of the vote is in. She's doing considerably better there. So, okay, so more votes are in, and he's going to gain like a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so this county, he's up, 69 to 31 per se. Still some time to go. So, two little votes. But we see some of these red counties that have finished counting, the margins are matching up somewhat well. Dodge, I underestimated him a little bit, but not great. Waukesha is 54% and he's up by 16. I have him winning by 13 at the end, and he's getting about he's actually beating the turnout that they're both gonna get more votes in Milwaukee or Waukesha, excuse me. Like what they're at right now is actually about what I have him finishing at. So I definitely undershot them there 100%. I definitely undershot them there. Kenosha, she's up by 6 points in Kenosha, and I said she was going to win it by 2. And so if she's up by 6 in Kenosha, she's definitely not that is not a great sign. That means she's definitely losing. Rock County, whoa. Okay, so she's up by 15 there, and I have her winning by 12 in Rock. So again, this is lining up somewhat. It's not going to be perfect, but this is lining up pretty well. Sock, 61% of the vote is in. I only have her winning it by 3, and she's doing really well there. So I don't know if that's going to shake out different. I don't know, but not looking great for him. In Richland, she's up by 12.9%. Iowa up by 15, with 12% in. Also not great. Crawford, now she's up by 6 with 8%. So still some time to go here. Ozaki, Milwaukee, we're still waiting. Again, you see 49% of the vote is in. She's at 122. Again, 141K there. So I'm going to probably end up underestimating the turnout in Dane, and Waukesha is probably where I'm missing some votes in, more than likely. Andrew Dix was timed out by End Times Prophecy Broadcasting for 1.8 seconds. Okay. Well, yeah, clearly she's probably going to outperform the margin that I actually, well, I don't know about that actually. I don't think that's the case. I think he's probably going to come back. There's a lot of rule errors to report. But like done, that's like a 17, 18 point victory. I only have him winning by 8 there. And that's 15% of the vote in. I mean, Barron, 20-ish, 18. Pierce County, he's, only 6% of the vote is in, so still early. Dorr hasn't reported anymore. Ozaki hasn't reported anymore. Milwaukee, nothing again. So there's not really a lot to commentate on here. But definitely not this is interesting because Republicans were super excited about high turnout, but 35% of the votes are in, and she's not doing exactly well, or he's not doing exactly well. So 800,000 votes, give or take, is 35% of the votes counted. And then we do 1 with X on the top, about 2.3 million. So my forecasting of the votes is going to be off by about like 500,000, give or take. Yeah, this is yeah, he just barely gained, but it's not going to be enough. Definitely not going to be enough. We're looking at these counties again. Look, see, Ozaki's narrowing up. Ozaki is going to narrow up. I have him finishing at about 17K. She gets about like 15. So I think he is going to win Ozaki. Milwaukee, still the same. Dane, 49% in, still the same. Oh, something just came in. Who might benefit from the remaining votes? Okay, so that's interesting. So that just that just popped up on the screen here. Yeah, and again, you can see. Yeah, 35% of the vote is in, and she's at about 480,000 votes. Oh, Bayfield is in. 34% of the vote is in Bayfield, and she's up by 12. I have her winning by 16 in Bayfield, and I have her finishing off at about 3,500 votes. And so that actually matches up somewhat well with my forecasting. So that matches up there to an extent. Adams, 81%, 59 to 41. That's about what I have. That's about what I have, guys. That's literally about what I have. Jackson, 10% in. Again, I only have it as a 10-point win right now that it finishes off at. So, 30% of the vote, still a 10-point win in Door. Kenosha, she's up by like 6. Like, this is not great. The reported vote, you can see, yeah, you see, look at that. She's still going to be up. It looks like she still might be up. Walworth, 50% in, and he's up by 10. I have him winning by 12 in the final vote totals here. So, again, definitely not a great sign. And Salk is a huge win for her. Definitely a lot bigger than I expected. Rock, I mean, that's matching about with what I have. Green, there's only 24% in, so still some time to go here. But I may be underestimating her in the in some of the driftless area counties. Um, you see, yeah, a lot of these Republican counties that are finishing their vote totals, it's matching up with my forecast. Barron is 63 to 37, so a little bit over 20. It's like almost 30. And okay, so more votes are in, and he just gained half a point. Where did that come from? Where did that just come from? Dodge doing fairly well. Washington doing okay. 40% of the vote is in. Fond again is matching up with my forecast. I wonder where all those votes just came from. I know this one reported more. Who do you hope wins? I mean, Schimmel. I mean, I hope Schimmel would have won, but I really don't think that's gonna happen now. I'm having serious doubts that that's actually gonna end up happening at this point. So yeah, yeah. So this is interesting for sure. Look, see, Dunn is now only 20 points, so it went down. I only have it at 8, but you see it went down. Monroe is like 14 points. And I have it at 16-point win, so we'll see. And then Richland with 7% in. These are still flexible. I mean, we're still waiting for results out of here, so we'll see. We can only really look at counties. Okay, look at Kenosha. 80% in. Look at that. 80% in Kenosha, and she's up by 4 with 80% in Kenosha. She's at about 24K. He's at about 22. I have her finishing at 26. He ends up finishing at about 25, and she's up by 2 points. So I'm going to be pretty spot on in Kenosha. I'm going to be pretty dead on there. Like, I'm going to be solid dead on in Kenosha. So that's good news for at least for my accuracy. Ozaki 50% and we're still waiting for some of these big counties. Definitely going to understate the, liberal votes out of Madison and Milwaukee. But we can see that Kenosha is going to end up being like a 2-point race. It's 80% in. And it's roughly about what it's going to roughly finish at about what I said. You look at this one. Look at this county is 75% in, and it's up 8 points, and I have her barely winning. This one I actually have 82, and she's actually up by a little bit there, and I have them finishing at about 30 each. So I don't know if he's going to take the late lead here. But I have him winning this county by like 4. Door is still a 10-point lead with 55%, and I have her winning by 6. And they're both going to surpass the turnout that I projected there. At least for now, they're definitely going to surpass that. Again, as more of these red counties finish reporting, you're seeing results that are similar. Okay, Vernon is an 8-point lead For Schimmel with 22% in. I have him winning it by 2. Lacrosse, it's a big lead here. Ear Claire, these ended up being a lot bigger victories than expected. Way, way bigger victories than I initially expected. Oh, Fox News called Crawford. Yeah, I figured. I mean, I just, guys, it was so obvious from the start. I mean, it was like a no-brainer for me. I saw it from a mile away that she was going to win this. I mean, the polling didn't look good. Onidia. Okay, so 8% in, and she's up by like 18. I have Onidia as like a 9-point win for him. So we'll see. Sawyer's going to be interesting to check out because I have Sawyer's only 7 points for him. So we'll see how that ends up finishing off. I wonder what the outstanding vote's going to be here, if it's going to go in his direction or not. I'm very curious to see what ends up happening there. Rock County, 53% in. He's up by a lot. She's up by a lot there. Like a lot of points. 92% in. She's up by about 6. She's getting about 28. He gets about 24. So, some similar turnout, but she still wins that county. She still wins it. And I'm almost positive she ends up winning. I'm almost positive she ends up winning the race. It was not a This was definitely not a surprise to me at the very least. Definitely was not a surprise at all. Was not. This is definitely not a shocker. Yeah, C-SPAN called Crawford. Yeah, I think I'm going to be fairly confident in saying that Crawford ends up winning the race. So, yeah, Crawford is going to more than likely end up winning this. So, breaking news. I'm going to call it now, guys, because this is done. Breaking news. Susan Crawford has officially been projected by On Point Politics to win the Supreme Court Wisconsin race in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah, guys, it's over. She won the race. Again, I don't know if it's going to be my margin. Don't know exactly, but yeah, definitely she has officially won the race. So that is, I mean, you guys can stick around for a little bit. I don't know how much longer I'm going to go for. I may go for like about 10 more minutes, give or take, because I do got to get to other things. I will be going for about 10 more minutes, but I'm fairly confident she has ended up winning the race. So that is it. More votes have poured in. She's up by 13 points. A lot of these, yeah, Grant, 14% in, he's up by 6. We're still waiting for a lot of counties to finish reporting, but I think it's all but, yeah, it's all but expected in my opinion. I think she's gonna end up performing fairly well. Yeah, she's probably won the race at this point. She's probably won the race. I don't know if she's gonna end up winning this one. I have him winning it by 4. I don't know if she's gonna win it. Not sure. She might. She may not. We'll see. Ozaki flipped, and it's 60% and he's up by a point. So he'll probably get close to the 5-point margin that I have here. About, oh wow, that's actually a really big margin there. I don't know if that's gonna hold though. I don't know if that's gonna end up holding though. I don't know. But some of these red, like, look, Adams, 95% in. 95% in, and yep, yeah, the turnout was higher than expected on both ends in Adams, but the margin is fairly solid there. Monroe, we're again, I got to check counties that are like, close to finishing reporting. Sauk is a 12-point win now, with 56% in, and it narrowed from like a way bigger lead. So it's probably going to end up getting closer. Washburn is only a 12-point win with 15% of the vote in. And I have it at 17. So Taylor is like a 50-point win for now. I have it as a 35-point win. So that's about give or take where I have it for now. Door, it looks like she's gonna win Door. You know, she's probably gonna win Kenosha more than likely. It's 95% reporting. Waukesha is about 15. It's about 15. They exceeded my turnout, but it's gonna hit about what I said it was gonna hit. It's 15, and I have it as a 13-point margin. So so that's gonna match my projection as well. And then in Dane, Milwaukee, it's a little bit over it's a little bit over a 40-point margin, but similar margin there. Almost 50 points. Well, now that's actually about 60 in Dane. So definitely undershot. But yeah, she's more than likely going to end up winning the race. She's more than likely going to end up winning this, in my opinion. And a lot of the counties that have finished reporting are pretty close to what I have. It's fairly close. A lot of the counties that have finished reporting, the margins or the turnout is very similar to my forecast. And so, and then like now Grant, up in Richland is a 4-point win with 25%, and I have them winning it by 5. 36% in Vernon, I have him winning it by 2, and we can see here, yeah, it's gonna stay at about that. He'll probably win it. I think he's gonna end up winning Crawford too. I don't think he'll lose this one. I think he is gonna win the driftless area counties, like some of them. I think he is. And Sauk ended up getting closer, so that's definitely it's gonna shift a little bit. I definitely underestimated her in lacrosse and in this county as well. Pierce, he's still down in Pierce, but I don't have him winning Pierce by much. Dunn is 20% in. Yeah. Yep, more votes just poured in. She just gained like a point. Yeah, more votes out of Dane. More votes out of Dane County. 71% in. He's about to hit my 48,000 benchmark there, and she already took over the 141K. So she's probably gonna outperform. I don't know if she's gonna outperform my margin, but my margin may end up it may be pretty close. It looks like a bigger win, but when you have the rural counties pour in, it'll get closer. But she's definitely gonna win pretty decently. I would say that my 5-point win is a pretty fair assessment. Brown, 24% of the vote is in, and he's up by like 15. Okay. Ozaki, Milwaukee, we're still waiting. Yeah, that's in. Washington, yeah, they definitely outperformed in some of these places. 28-point win. This is more like a 30-ish point, so close enough. There, I did underestimate him and dodge quite significantly, but this margin here is really close. This margin in Adams is very close. I want to look for some counties that have like really reported a lot of votes, so I can compare them to my final forecast. Um, Interesting. Yeah, I'm expecting Brown County to be red, but not by a lot. Like, I actually think this one's gonna end up being redder. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. It's like very close, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know exactly what's happening. 65% of the vote in Door again, still down. Ozaki's probably gonna win it. He'll probably end up taking Ozaki, in my opinion. He's gonna, yeah. We're just waiting for some more votes, but it looks like my forecast will inevitably end up being correct. I think she's going to win by the margin I'm not sure, but definitely it. Definitely not it. Yeah, I don't know why these people were getting so excited about all this early voting stuff. I mean, it was clear she was gonna win. I can't imagine people actually thought he was gonna pull out the win here. I mean, it was a very outside shot. It was a very outside shot. I mean, I literally predicted her winning Kenosha, and she outperformed my expectations in Kenosha. So, like, come on. We'll see how much Salk narrows up, but she's winning it by 12, and I only have her winning it by 3. So, I mean, still really not that great. Yeah, Hmm. How much do I have him winning Baron by? 18. He's up by what? With 35%, he's up by almost 30. Yeah, that's definitely an underperformance on my end. Definitely not great, but I think I'm going to end the stream here, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.